Spurs Bros, welcome into episode 12. Christmas Eve recording today. We're all with our families. Hope you're doing the same, enjoying some good family time here, ready to soak in some Spurs content when this comes out. We will have played our game Christmas Day against the Knicks. Hopefully that was a W. But in episode 12, we're going to go over the last three games. A W versus the Hawks. Hashtag the Hawks are bums. W against the Blazers, and a close loss against the Sixers. Whole lot to cover in that Sixers game, so stay tuned. Lots and lots of takes with a whole lot of drama on Monday night. We're going to be talking about everything that Victor Wembanyama has done to impress not only us, but the entire NBA over the course of the last week. He is setting records and racking in awards. He is the clear favorite for DPOY. We can't wait to see what Victor has in store for Christmas Day. And most importantly, we're going to end things with some trade rumors. Anyways, please, if you're listening, hit subscribe, press like, share, comment, interact with us. Let us know what you want to hear. We really appreciate all of it. Episode 12 coming right at you. One more time, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of our Spurs bros around the world. Let's get it.
Spurs Bros, have yourselves a merry little
Oh Lord.
Christmas.
Oh
If
God,
you
ho ho ho.
if you can't tell by my singing and Tim's Santa hat, we are recording on the week of Christmas, Christmas Eve to be exact. And boy oh boy, has Santa been delivering. First off, we want to say a huge thank you to all the Spurs Bros listeners who have number one, just showed their support over the year since we started, but also in the last few weeks specifically, we've seen a really big bump in our listening subscriptions. We're just so thankful for every single one of you. That was on our wish list last week, and you guys have been delivering. So thank you for subscribing, for listening. We talk about it probably every single day in our own personal group message, which is the fact that even 50 people would want to listen to us for like 5 minutes is mind-boggling to us. So thank you so much for that. Santa has been delivering there. And then also Santa has been delivering, for the most part, on some awesome Spurs basketball. But before we get into all that, how are we doing? How are y'all doing?
I'm good, man. No, like you said, it's been really, really cool, and we've been, I've got the metrics on my phone or whatever, so like I feel like I'm checking in every hour because the last week since episode 11, it's kind of the first really big bump we've seen. It's been really cool to think, and talking to some people too, saying that they can tell that we enjoy each other and that we have some camaraderie, and it's like, yeah, we've known each other for. I've known y'all for a decade and y'all have known each other since you were little kids. So I'm glad that that comes through, but it's cool that, other Spurs fans are interested in what we have to say. And it already seems like we're building a little community. So it's really cool. And, love is in the air. It's Christmas Eve today. I just feel like everything's happy and cool. So this has been a really cool and rewarding first couple months doing this. We're going to keep it
Yes.
up.
All right. So, as I was saying, Santa has been delivering not just by all the listeners and the subscriptions that's been happening the past few weeks, but also the Spurs. We went almost 3-0. So close to going 3-0 in our last week. We went 2-1, but we had to start first things first. We're going to go in order because each game was really unique and really special in their own right. So, the first game, Santa delivered on the first day of Christmas with a Hawks win. The hashtag Hawks are bums is back. Let's go. I'm so glad. I am so glad we won that game. Spurs Bros, we won in it was an overtime thriller. There was a lot of really cool stats that went on too. Some drama that happened toward the end of the game in regulation. But in it, Victor Wembanyama became officially the fastest to 200 career three-pointers. He did that in, what was it, 94 games, I guess it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was amazing. He beat out Steph Curry, James Harden, Ray Allen. I mean, the greatest three-point shooters of all time. That's amazing, man. Also, Wemby in that game, Wemby had a 42-point performance. They poked the bear. Does anyone kind of want to do a little play-by-play as to what happened? Did anyone see that happen?
I don't know who DeAndre Hunter thinks he is. That pissed me off so much.
I mean,
And the fact that they call a double T to bail him out made me even more pissed off. That was insane. And then, of course, the NBA comes out the day after the game and says, oh, that was a mistake. Wemby's T has been rescinded. Like, yeah, obviously it did literally nothing, but the refs didn't want to blow the game and give us a free throw with 10 seconds left to take the lead back. But hey, guess what? That's how it works when DeAndre Hunter's a punk and he yells in Wemby's face after he gets the first dunk of his life.
Yep.
What was really interesting and the take that we talked about was from Wob, Rob Perez. The next day when the NBA announced the tech was rescinded, and he mentioned like this is why we don't want to have the tech in the first place. If you're gonna have a cool dunk and you're gonna stare a guy down, cool. We like watching that. It's gonna be posted on socials. The Hawks 2 days later were using the stare down on their official Twitter account, their X account. So we all want to see that. It's entertaining. It's fun. Don't call the tech in the first place, so you're not having to call a double tech just to balance it out and not give away the game. Like, just let it happen. Victor's going to take that on the chin, we know, and Alec's going to get to it right here, but he's going to take that on the chin and make his own statement right afterwards. That's what we're here for. That's what we want to see. Get rid of these stupid little taunting texts where guys just looking at somebody. It's weak.
Totally.
It's
Yeah.
soft.
That's something that, the refs love to go to the replay center review. These reviews at the end of games take, 5 minutes per review. So
Mm.
yeah, definitely don't call that in the moment just for a little stare down. It throws everything out of whack. If you're going to go to the monitor, then maybe give two texts. Just, yeah, you can't do that right in the moment.
Mm.
But yeah, DeAndre Hunter, I don't know what's gotten into him. He's coming off the bench for the first time this year. He's a sixth man of the year candidate. I didn't have a problem with it. I like that it got chippy. But yeah, he balled out that game, but luckily we came out on top.
Of course, lo and behold, him and Larry Nance kept him in. Not Trey going off on us. Freaking Larry Nance Jr. and DeAndre Hunter were their killers. And thank God we got the win in overtime.
It was a crazy game, and as Reagan said, like, or as Stuart was saying, it's like, what, like, who do you think you are, dude? Like, it was a design play, obviously. DeAndre Hunter came, he was literally out of the picture. So he was already back in other side of the court, and it was a design play, sideline out of bounds, pass it in, and he's coming literally full speed downhill, and Wemby's trying to chase him, and he's going at an angle. I think he kind of got clipped a little bit, so he wasn't even in full position. And so I'm not even going to blame Wemby. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, he did get put on a bit of a poster, but like, don't try to jump with him if he's like trying to come over for help side. I want to see that. Try that again.
Wemby has said he's always going to go for blocks. He's a big man, and big men get dunked on, and is what it is. But everyone takes it all personal when they get to dunk on Wemby. Like, calm down. Thing
Yeah.
is, I've always liked DeAndre Hunter. I've never looked at him this way, but that rubbed me the wrong way that night. I was like, dude, I would love DeAndre Hunter to be a Spur if we ever did an Atlanta trade. He's a great 3-and-D guy. He's been going off, but yeah, that rubbed me the wrong way.
Coming out of college, out of Virginia too. I thought he was going to be a really good pro.
Yeah.
He reminds me of like a Rui Hachimura kind of, 6'8", big body, versatile guy. It's like a Jeremy Sohan light almost. I like him. Or I
You did
did.
see after the game though, Hunter and Wemby were chopping it up, laughing a little bit. So there were probably no hard feelings, or they were still talking shit, and that's why Wemby was laughing. But I'm taking it as they chopped it up a little bit, and made a little joke. It is what it is. We won. That's all Wemby cares about in the end. So DeAndre Hunter can have his highlight. We'll take the dub and move on.
Yep. After that moment, like I said, DeAndre Hunter did poke the bear. He woke up Wemby. I mean, he was already awake, but in overtime, he had, I think, 8 or 10 points. He was 2 for 2 from three. He had a big block, and I think DeAndre Hunter was playing city from three, or I guess that whole overtime. So I was just a sight to see. I hope all the Spurs Bros fans at home saw that one. Also in that game, Wemby reached 341 blocks after 94 games, which is more than Hakeem, Mutombo, Duncan, Shaq, and Gobert all had in their careers up to that point. So you're seeing all these crazy stats, and then as we get into the Portland Trailblazers game, there's more crazy Wemby feats that kind of happen as well. So, man, it was just a great game. Like I said, great way to start off the Christmas week. Moving on, we beat the Portland Trailblazers 114-94. That was just our second 20-point win of the season. I think our first one was against the Kings early in the season. So we took care of business there, but Wemby picked up where he left off. So he had 30 points, 10 blocks, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and he shot 50% from three and 90% from the free throw line, which is just spectacular. So picking up where he left off. In that game, Victor Wembanyama recorded his 62nd straight game with at least one block, which is now the longest such streak in franchise history, passing David Robinson's 61 game streak. And he's still 20 years old. And also in that game, I guess Wemby also became the first player with 80 points and 20 blocks in a 3 game span since David Robinson in 90 since 94 when David Robinson did it. So some random Twitter follower or ex Spurs follower, I'd like to say, he said the great thing about Wemby's getting all these crazy numbers, it also serves as a reminder of how amazing that David Robinson was. And I think that's so true. It's like I had no idea that David was that dominant. But either way, it's really cool to see all the stuff that's happened. So, did y'all see anything in particular in that Portland Trailblazers game? Any in-depth analysis that I'm kind of obviously glossing over? Just it's really Wemby heavy, but anything that kind of stood out to y'all that y'all liked?
Like you said, it was nice to just see us take care of business. It could have been kind of a trap game. It was close at the end of the first, like most NBA games are. But from then on, I think we had a 16-point lead at the half and never really let them get back into it. Shaedon Sharpe has kind of killed us the couple of times we played them this year, but besides him, we didn't really let anybody else going or get going. Wemby's killing it, and now Bassey's backing him up. And Bassey's, I guess, just going to have some games where he's killing it off the bench. And then last night against the Sixers, not much, but yeah, he had a good game against Portland. And yeah, just everybody besides Wemby's 30 points, it was very balanced scoring. So yeah, just nice to see them take care of business.
That's like OG Spurs, and we have 7, 8 guys scoring double-digit numbers. It's great to see everyone's passing the ball. Everyone has a couple assists. Tim, I'm glad you brought up old Bassey and some lineups. Let's talk about the fact that this is our first 2 games or 3 games now. We had a full lineup. No injuries on the list. I'm sure something stood out to everybody. Our favorite player in the world, Zach Collins, DNP, fully healthy. They asked Mitch about it after, I think, the Portland game, saying, hey, the second game hasn't played. Mitch just, gave the corporate answer. Oh, he's working hard in practice. We'll see what happens. He lost his rotation spot. Bassey, like you said, Tim, he's a hitter or miss on offense. But the fact is he's getting like blocks and a bunch of boards every game. That's what we need him to do. That's why we always said we kind of want a Walker Kessler come in and have another rim presence. Zach is taller than Bassey, but Bassey's way more physical. He blocks more shots. He gets more boards. I'm way more comfortable with him in there. But yeah, we're looking good.
It was a big game for Bassey, dude. 16 and 12,
yeah.
and 7 of 9 from the field. He just does the dirty work, and that's a big time double against. You're right. 18 minutes, 16 points, 12 rebounds against Klingon and DeAndre Ayton. So that's impressive.
16 tied his career high, and I noticed the last 3 minutes of the game when we subbed out all the second group, he stayed in. So Zach still didn't even get garbage minutes in those last 3 minutes. I don't know if that was just to maybe get Bassey his career high, or I don't know, maybe Zach is just literally knocking up because City came in, cleared the whole bench, Mamu, Blake, Malachi, and then they kept Bassey out there. So we'll see if Zach's just fully lost his spot on the team essentially. But yeah, I don't know if that was just to try to get Bassey's career high or not, but he had a great game against Portland.
I don't want to say that I'm right because, that happens once in a blue moon, but we were talking about Zach Collins with, flipping the bird the ref 2 weeks ago. And I said on that episode, that might have been the final straw that gets Zach Collins traded. And he played later in that game. He played the next game, but I think after that is this 3-game stretch where we haven't seen any Zach Collins on the court whatsoever. And they might have had to talk with him, and maybe he didn't, like what they had to say about it. Maybe he came in there and said, "Hey, y'all are paying me 17 million. I know I'm going to play. Let me do it." I don't want to speculate too much, but we all talked about how we didn't like his attitude that night, and it didn't look good. It didn't sit well, and that's not the Spur. Maybe Stu, like you were talking about, hey, why are we playing this guy? What's going on? Should that not be pack your bags, go home, be with your family? Maybe it took an extra game to get there, but it feels like we might have reached that point. And there's a lot of trade rumors that have been swirling around the last week or two. He could very well be a big old part of that trade talk with his $17 million contract.
And just for someone to sign and release him, you think, or what?
I mean, just to make the money work, because if you're in a position where you're a team that's going to facilitate that trade, maybe they take him on and pay him out like a Detroit. has been a big talk because they have the most cap room. I think they have 18 or 19 million dollars of cap space. So that contending team might not want to take Zach Collins, but to make the trade work, we put Zach Collins to Detroit, give them a pick, and then we're getting the player back in whatever three-way trade. Kind of like we got Harrison Barnes from the
Yeah.
Kings over the summer.
Hmm.
That was just to facilitate the money so that DeRozan could get to Sacramento. So it could be that sort of situation just to make money work. I don't know. It's probably a month in the future, but if we go another month without Zach Collins playing, I think we're all perfectly fine with that.
I was about to say,
Oh,
have y'all missed him? Have you
No.
even noticed that he hasn't even been out there, except whenever he's going to timeout and he's clapping and they're showing a close up of the bench? Like I forget that
And
he's
yeah, credit to him though, because he is still like he does still have the energy on the bench and he's being a good teammate on the bench. Like he's still clapping, he's still like flexing when people are making good plays. I think Keldon had a big dunk the other night and Zach Collins came up and gave him a chest bump, whatever. So that's good. At least he's not being a cancer. Like he's still being a good
right.
teammate in that sense
a
on the bench.
Kawhi.
But yeah,
Yeah,
he's a good bench presence.
there you go. That's good. I completely agree, though. Yeah, that Portland win, like you said, Stu, nice balanced scoring. That was fun to watch. Devin Vassell, Trey Jones, they all played well. Trey Jones didn't score much, but I think he had 7 assists in that game. Um, so really good stuff there. After that game, going back to Wemby, over his last 13 games, Wemby's been averaging a staggering 29.6 points a game, basically 30, 9.8 rebounds, basically 10, 5 assists, 4.7 stocks. His true shooting percentage is 64%. He's shooting 85% from free throws and shooting 38% on 10.6 3-point attempts from 3-point land, which is just so
He's insane,
unbelievable to me.
dude.
Please
And
And go ahead,
go ahead.
Stuart. Go ahead. Go
I
Go
was
ahead.
saying,
ahead.
and it's his second year in the league. He's doing it as a second year in the league, which is absolutely nuts. Kid
He's
is 6 years from his prime still. It's absolutely crazy.
That's
So
scary.
yeah, I was gonna wait to go into this, but Alec, you've basically opened it up perfectly for me here. So I don't know if y'all follow at all the B-ball index on X or on Twitter, but very analytical page that it's all about using data. They're the ones that came up with the LeBron metric, which I still don't know what the hell it is, but anyways, so
Hmm.
they kind of looked at Victor's production and efficiency and performance and compared that to the rest of the league and gave him basically letter grades based on the percentile that he's in, right?
Hmm.
So all of the crazy shooting splits that Alec just mentioned, right? 50 from the field, 38 from three, 85 from the free throw line, which is 64.2 true shooting. That is on the 25th lowest shot quality in the league. So he is
Wow.
Yes.
getting terrible shots and
Yes.
making them at an elite rate. Further than that, he is 96th percentile one-on-one shot making. His overall shooting talent is 95th percentile. He's a B plus from pull-up threes. He's A plus shot making at the rim. He's a 95th percentile from deep three-point shot making. And then on the defensive side of the ball, he is the number one overall player in rim protection, 100th percentile there. He's 99th percentile in defensive playmaking, 97th percentile in help defense talent. He's the 98th percentile in screener mobile defense. So being a defender as guys come off the screen and he's having to take on that guard, 98th percentile. And passing lane defense, he got an A minus. So he is doing literally offense and defense, everything at an above average or elite level and making shots at what was the shot making was 96th percentile essentially on the 25th lowest shot quality in the entire NBA. And like Stuart said, he's 20. It's stupid what we're watching right now.
Yeah. He turns 21 on January 4th. The reason I remember that is because that's the same day as my same birthday as my wife. So he'll be 21 on January 4th. So, but still, that's just wild to me. So, this is also probably a good time to plug Spurs Bros. If you haven't already, please go vote Victor Wembanyama to the All-Star game, please. He's already had a ton of early traction. I mean, there's no way they don't put him on the All-Star team.
I don't know.
Or
It'll be criminal if he's not. If KD and AD get in over him, just because they're the household names, I guess. But yeah, I'll be pretty upset if Wemby's not an All Star this year.
You would, well, what do you think, Tim?
I haven't seen all the voting breakdown, but is there not enough room for all three of them? I mean,
Well,
Katie.
not and Jokic. Jokic is obviously guaranteed, but
Yeah.
I don't think all four of them can, right?
I
Because
think
it's
it's
like a certain
positionless
number of
now.
guards. Oh, is it? I thought it was has to be a certain number of guards, forwards, centers.
I don't think it's positions anymore.
Well, I hope not. If so, he should be a guarantee shoe in to be on that All Star team.
Yeah, you'd think. And according to Legion Hoops, Victor Wembanyama, he did comment on that abysmal new All-Star game format, which we talked about last week. He said, quote, I'm personally wondering how to put competitiveness back into the All-Star game. When I set foot on that court, though, I'm going to be competitive for sure. But I don't think any beats the old school East versus West format. So he's already thinking about it. He's already
I was gonna
assuming
say, yeah, I
that
like it.
he's already there. And again, I like where his head's at, which is he's getting to the root of the issue. He's like, what are we doing messing around with this format? Number one, just get back to how it used to be. And I want to compete. So
Yeah,
I
let's slow down though. If no one else is competing, I don't want our freaking franchise future player to be the one going hard and possible get hurt in some blow off bullshit game. So calm down, Wimby. We'll see how it goes. But
no, I like it.
you
I
know,
like it.
yeah, we all love the competitive spirit, but don't be the one going out there going super hard, getting blocks and this that. Like, slow your roll.
No, I think the basketball
I
gods
was,
will
I was
reward the hard.
wrong. They still are taking positions into account. So I did a little bit deeper
Ooh,
dive, but yeah,
Yeah,
so they
so it
still
could be
are.
tough then.
So
It's going to
but
be him or AD. Unless they do take three, then it should be Anthony Davis, Jokic, and Wemby. But we'll see.
mm. Well, I mean, you
It
could put him
might
as a
be
4 or 5.
for the bench players, but the starters have, the normal two guards, two forwards, and a center, and then it's whoever for the seven reserves. That might be it. But I don't know, bro. Like Jokic, I think you take Wemby over AD.
Well, yeah, we would.
I don't know.
I put
I
my starting five as Jokic, Wemby, KD, Shea, and Luca. That was my starting five for the West.
hard to argue with that.
That's
I
fine.
mean, LeBron's going to be a starter.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right.
It's
LeBron.
popular vote.
Yeah, I don't know
It's
then.
fan vote.
So then, yeah, maybe LeBron and KD the starters, Wemby off the bench. I don't know. We'll be
Yeah.
happy if Wemby's an All Star. I don't care if he's starting the game or not.
Yeah. Bottom line, like Alex said, go vote. Go
Yes.
vote. NBA All-Star, go vote.
Yep.
You can vote once a day, every 24 hours, you can get a vote in there for whoever you want. Vote for Wemby. Don't vote for AD or Jokic.
Yeah. Tim, what are your thoughts on West?
West All Stars. I need like a list of players out in front of me, but I liked your starting lineup. Got to think about you said SGA, maybe Jalen Williams too from OKC. I feel like they always reward first, second best records in
Mhm.
each conference. Maybe Jaren Jackson. No, but Jaren Jackson, no way he gets in over Wemby. I don't know, man. It's
I
tough.
forgot about Steph too. That was stupid of me. Yeah, it is going to be tough for Wemby to make that 12 team roster, 12 player roster. Yeah, damn, this is going to be tough.
I think that
Yeah,
snub list is going to be pretty significant this year.
compared to the East list, who's going to be snubbed, there'll be no names compared to whoever gets snubbed from the West.
Yeah,
That's like
man.
a Wemby or possible Jaw or someone. Yeah,
Yeah. Cavs are going to have, Mobley and Donovan Mitchell. Celtics are going to have the two J Bros. Knicks are going to take Cat and Jalen Brunson. The Magic, we'll see. We talked about that, Tim. Like it could be Paolo or one of the Wagner brothers, but they're hurt, so I don't know how that's going to look.
maybe Suggs, but I don't know if he's that
Yeah.
good.
Giannis, Dame, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Trey Young. It's kind of a fall off after that. Halliburton.
Yeah, very mid
Embiid.
compared to those
Yeah.
Western names.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that sucks for us, but we'll see.
We'll see.
It is what it
Yeah.
is. We'll take playoffs and a playoff run or something like that over an All Star. So it's all good.
Go
I
ahead,
just
Tim.
some reporter's prediction for Western starters, and they have Wemby, AD, and Jokic all as starters.
Jeez, imagine.
I don't know if that's even possible. I would assume it is if this reporter has it, but
And again, I already forget the format of it though. Like how would it be split up? Isn't it 4 teams of 8? What do we say? And
Oh
and
yeah,
one of
so
those
it's
teams is
yeah, the voting is the same.
oh okay.
The voting is the same, but then they're going to split up the 24 NBA players into three eight-man teams, and then the fourth team in that four-team tournament will be the winners of the Rising
Right.
Stars
Rising
Challenge.
Stars, right.
So, and then they're
And
going to play games to 40, and it's a bracket, and it's
for
obnoxious.
the 3 teams of 8, are they still doing like the schoolyard pick, like LeBron, Giannis,
No.
like Steph, the captains, or so how are they
No, there.
mixing that up?
I don't know who's gonna pick. It might be maybe the coaches are gonna pick. I don't know. I don't know. It's dumb. You've seen KD, Anthony Davis, Devin Booker, Giannis, Wemby have all come out and said that the old East-West format is what they need
Yeah.
to do.
Right.
Agree, it is, but again, we're in this situation now because the old East West, well, the old East West format worked, but not with all these guys saying today, hey, just go back to that. Well, yeah, because y'all don't play.
Yeah.
Hence why they're trying to do all this to get the viewers because no one's watching on Sunday night anymore because y'all don't play. So, you
True.
know, of course they're the ones saying, "Oh, let's go back to that." Yeah.
Good point. Well, back to regular business. And we're gonna segue with more Victor Wembanyama. Also after that Portland Trailblazers win and leading up into the Philadelphia 76ers game, Victor earned his first Western Conference Player of the Week award. And during that time span, he averaged 36 points a game, 6.7 or 6.5 rebounds a game, 7 blocks while leading the Spurs to 2 wins versus the Hawks Trailblazers. So, man, much deserved. Who won on the Eastern Conference? I forget. Was
Kate
it?
Cunningham.
Oh, Kay Cunningham. That's right. Yeah. So that's so spectacular. So you had all of this Wemby highlights, Wemby action, Wemby talk in the news. And then we get to the Philadelphia 76ers game where we kind of blew it. We kind of blew it. Like I said, we almost went 3-0. We ended up losing in a tight one to the 76ers over there in Philly, 111 to 106. So I know, Stu, we were talking yesterday in the group message, but it looked like we struggled to score for a bit there. I'll get into some more of the details, but kind of want to get your takes before I get into some of the details. And I thought missed opportunities.
The start was tough. We couldn't hit a three, which has happened multiple times this year already. First quarter scoring, they had 20, we had 19. So, even they got off to a slow start, which sucked that we couldn't take advantage of that. I think Wemby got subbed out early again. That didn't help. And, Jeremy and Devin were looking at, got off to really good starts. They kind of slowed down as the game went on. Steph came in looking good off the bench. It was just ugly shooting again and way too many threes, not getting any, offense established.
Yeah, yesterday's game had me fired up, but yeah, just to start, yeah, the shooting as it went on, they kept showing that they were awful shooting. We were awful shooting from three. At one point, we were like 8 for 35 or something. It was just ridiculous. But we know that's how it's going to be because some games will be 18 or 19 for 35, but we were 8. So that sucked. When it's just sloppy basketball when we're not hitting our shots, we just look bad, tough to watch. Yeah, nothing changed with Wemby's minutes over the past week. We do look better as a full squad. We said how old boys on the bench not playing anymore, getting DNPs, but that second squad coming in, it's like we don't have, any true score. Kind of Stefan's putting them on their back because we know Trey's not really a threat. He gets the offense going, but he's not a threat. I called it a couple months ago. If we take off Julian from the starting lineup, he was averaging 12 to 15. He's down to averaging like 7, 8 now. That's a 7 point difference on someone on our team. So it sucks, but hopefully it's also their first couple games playing together that five of so they'll start gelling hopefully more as the season goes and just hopefully we start hitting shots. That's what it comes down to.
Julian's average. He's been off the bench the last 3 games, Chimpany?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so those 3 games, the number of minutes he's playing hasn't changed, but like you said, it's rotations that are different. He had 8 points, 7 points. Last night he had 15, so he's averaging like 11 now in the last 3 games. But that's a very different feel. Last night he was 5 of 10 from the 3-point line, and that's where all of his points came from. Those first 2 games against Atlanta and Portland, which were wins, he was 2 of 6 and 1 of 4 from the 3-point line. So yeah, it's a very different shot selection for him. And Stuart, like we joked about it a long time ago when you first came out and said it, but it's proving to be exactly right so far. Like if he's not going to have, a high volume of catch and shoot threes that are good looks, it's going to be tough for him to be the same kind of effective player that he's been when he's got a Wemby and a Castle and a Chris Paul and a Harrison Barnes and whoever else to rely
Yeah.
on in the starting group. And Alec, I know you're going to touch on it in a second, but I'm looking at because we're talking about rotations and I'm looking at the box score right now. Stephon Castle, 13 minutes. So I know Alec wanted to touch on that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on there?
Well, yeah, I mean that was one of the things. Steph Castle, he basically put us on our back. So Spurs Bros, what happened there was it was a really tight game, back and forth, low scoring throughout the first half. Second half, we were still right in it, and we're down four, down six, and then all of a sudden they just jumped out to a 15-point lead. And so it looked like we're going to be out of it. But I texted y'all, I was like, we just got to hang in there, just got to hang in. And sure enough, Stephon Castle came in the game and he put us on our back, man. He had a couple of and ones. He had a couple and ones. He had a big transition three, a steal. He just looked really, really good, and he was aggressive. He had a charge that was offensive foul on him. But I didn't mind it at all, man. He was aggressive. He ended up with 17 points that game, but again, only 13 minutes. So it was really interesting to see what Mitch Johnson is doing there. I guess he's just trying to feel out Trey Jones more and try to have him be more of a poised threat on the floor while we're going up against a lot of pressure. That was the main thing that I wanted to get into next was man, they were playing very aggressive on us, and you could see it toward the end too. Chris Paul, Martin was defending him. You had Paul George defending him, and they were bumping and shoving and everything. And Chris Paul wasn't having any of it, man. He was pushing, using his off arm to like push and create space, and it was just really aggressive. And so I think maybe that's what Mitch Johnson was saying, like, hey, if this can be a hyper aggressive game, then maybe put Trey Jones out there to kind of handle that pressure and just kind of keep the boys cool,
And
calm.
I think that's a fair idea, honestly, because there has been, like, as awesome as Steph Castle has been, there have been times where, when it's not just token defense coming down the floor, guys get up into him, pressuring him down the court. He's lost the ball a few times, dribbled it out of bounds. He's had it picked. They take it for an easy dunk. It's happened a few times. So in a close game like that, where you've got those veterans that are playing really aggressive defense, maybe it makes more sense to have some Trey Jones in there until Castle gets his handles a little bit more on lock under hard pressure like that. 14 minutes for Trey, 13 minutes for Castle. Yeah, but it was interesting. It was just weird because like it's when you have a guy that's scoring that well, 17 points like Castle had, you want that on the court more. But maybe he doesn't have the full trust of being able to bring the ball down the court against an aggressive defense.
Yeah, I would have loved to see Steph finish that game. I know
Mhm.
Julian had the hot hand in the fourth, but this is also kind of what comes with, and this is not a bad problem to have. This is a good problem to have, but this is what happens when we're getting healthier and we have all our guys back. You have to make some tough lineup decisions. And Mitch decided to go with maybe the 2 point guard lineup. He kept Julian out there. You want Jeremy out there for his defense. So yeah, tough end last night, but I think Mitch will learn from it. I think he'll get all the coaching staff together, get all their opinions on it, and it'll be interesting to see what our crunch time lineups are going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get why he didn't play that whole end of the fourth, last 8 minutes or so. But I'm a firm believer, and yeah, stick with the hot hand, which I know is why Julian was out there. But also, he like Alex said, put us on his back. He led the comeback in the third when we got down by 15. He was the only one being aggressive. He's so silky smooth out there, driving, finishing around the basket, getting and ones with his
Yes.
little hezzy stop in the lane. I guess we got to have CP out there and those type of games at the end. But I mean, I would have loved to see Stephon out there, whether it was beside Chris or not. That was tough, and he's probably one of our best, perimeter defenders. So maybe if it would have been him on Maxi towards the end, but it is what it is. Yeah, like you said, Timmy, it's a good problem to have. We had guys on the bench we would have wanted out there, but then if it went the other way or something, we would have said, oh, why wasn't Chris Paul out there in the last couple minutes of a
True.
tight game? So it is what it is. I saw Mitch, Alec, like you always say, he's been harping on all season. Physicality, that's what he blamed it on last night. Physical. I'm like, we were pretty physical. The first half, they were bully balling us. And you know me, I was pretty pissed off out there, texting our group chat, having them go at Wemby like that. And then who the
Yep.
hell does Embiid think he is? Like clear charge, just puts his shoulder down right through Wemby, and then it goes on to get ejected in the second quarter for yelling at that ref. Like what? I don't know if he just wanted out or what. That was clear offensive foul. I don't know what that was all about.
Totally.
But yeah, Mitch harped on after the game was physicality, and I agree with it. But I don't think we were necessarily backing down as much as we have in the past. But yeah, it was tough to see kind of no one else step up for Wemby when they're literally throwing all their bodies at him.
Yep.
You know stepping on his foot. How freaking
Yeah, dude,
Drummond
the
did and all
Drummond thing
that.
was crazy. That like
Yeah.
that it's a national it's a NBA game. There's 12 different camera angles. How he thinks that he's gonna get away with people not seeing that? Andre Drummond steps on his foot first before the ball comes in and then gives him a shove. So like that's a dirty ass play. You're if you're gonna fall like that and your foot stuck out here, there's potential for,
Mm-hmm.
hyperextending your knee, for, an ankle issue, a foot problem, whatever else comes from that. That's some dirty stuff, and I'm glad he was thrown out for that. Like the
Yep.
Embiid thing was just a wild scene, but Drummond, if I see anything like that from any player, I don't care if it's Spur or otherwise, dude, that's a crazy move. You don't step on somebody's foot and then like purposely to pin them down to the ground and then give them a shove. That's a dirty ass play that has no place in any league.
He knew
Yep.
exactly what he was doing.
Yes,
He
he
did,
did.
and it's super annoying. Yeah, Drummond, you're a bum. Your time is come and gone. What was like 6, 7 years ago was your prime. You were getting those
Yeah.
15 boards a game. But like, dude, get out of the league if you're gonna be doing that crap. That was so annoying. I texted before the game like, oh, this is what their fourth game all season where they have a full lineup. Like, of course,
Yeah.
Embiid chose to play last night, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's just so annoying. Paul George, I was bitching, but I was like, dude, I don't care. I want the free win. How they've given all the other teams a free win this year. I was super annoyed with that. They come back. It made so much sense. They're all physical with Wemby. Everyone takes it all personal against Wemby because he's the star of the future. Everyone wants to show him up. It's like, dude, calm down. And then all the fans
That
just
part.
treating Wemby like crap the rest of the game just because of all the teas. I'm like, are you kidding me? Every fan, every team in the league would trade their two stars for Wemby today. You're telling me right now Philly wouldn't trade Maxey and Embiid for Wemby right now? Like, get the hell out of here.
That's what Philly
I
is,
was
though. It's a
heated
bunch of Philly
yesterday.
scumbags. They're all
Yeah,
Eagles fans,
they're
bro.
all
It's
scumbags.
That's what someone said.
think of the Eagles fans, bro. Those are the same fans
Yeah.
as in
Oh,
the
yeah.
Sixers arena, bro.
The announcers
Scumbags.
said on the stream too that like, oh, they're all heated right now because of that
Yeah.
loss last night to the Commanders.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it makes
Hurts
sense.
has a
Philly scumbags.
concussion. Yeah,
They
that's
had to take it out on
that's a
someone.
great point. Yeah.
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 But that no, yeah, I
Either
think
way, I was fired up, man. That pissed me off yesterday.
y'all encapsulated it perfectly. That's what I wanted to sort of get into next, as part of that game. And Stu, this is what you texted us in the group message before the game. You're saying I'm really nervous about Wemby getting hurt because of Joel Embiid. He's so freaking clumsy. I've said this since he's gotten to the league, and I will maintain it. I mean, yeah, over the past past few years,
The
has
last 2
definitely
years,
been
he's been a dirty player,
he's been
but
dirty as well. But super clumsy. Like the guy doesn't know how to fall. You're taught how to fall in basketball. Like whenever you go up and fall, he doesn't know how to land. He doesn't know how to use obviously he's super coordinated and he can dominate from mid range. He's got great touch and all that. But from his whole just physicality, his whole body standpoint, he does not know how to use it. And he's huge. And so it's like actually really dangerous. And that's exactly what happened whenever he got ejected that last night. So yeah, why are you complaining, dude? Like you were falling over yourself and then you put your arm bar out and you extended and you fell over Wemby. Like, of course you're gonna get called for an offensive foul. And then he just goes up to that little blonde-haired ref afterwards and just leans and towers over
it
here.
was crazy.
Dude, it's like
That's not a good visual.
it's not a good visual, man. Yeah, and she's like this. She literally, her hands are up. She's like looking
Yeah,
down. She's not
it
gonna
was
Yeah,
get
kind
hurt.
of crazy
like,
though.
hey, don't hit me, sir.
Did
Like,
you see
Yeah.
did you see her tech though? She was just like
Yeah, yeah.
right in his face, like all casual, like beep.
Right. So that, yeah, like you said though, like all of that. So you got the Embiid antics. You've got the crowd in it, which I hated. You've got this hyper aggression from Philly. They wanted to win the game. Obviously, we wanted to win it. So it kind of just like really hyped up all of our emotions. And I think that's for sure. I think we all went in that locker room and we immediately circled the next time we played them because I know
March
they won't get
21st.
back.
I just looked it up as you said that. March
Uh,
21st
yeah.
in San Antonio.
Yep. But and so kind of transitioning a little bit on that aggression, it is hard to play. It's hard to play against hyper aggressive teams, especially if they're not calling stuff, right? Because if you think about it, it's really hard to, initiate an offense if you're a point guard. You're kind of you have to keep the guy on your back or on your side, so it's really kind of hard to see over a defense, and you're getting pushed, and everybody else is getting pushed off their spots. So Wemby, he had a hard time catching the ball in the post. There was at least 3 times where they tried to enter the ball into the mid post, and Yabusele would come from behind and make a poke or a steal. I think Trey Jones, Chris Paul turned it over once, Julian trying to get the ball into him. And so that's really tough to deal with, especially if refs aren't calling anything. So then you got the crowd into it as well. So it's just like made this
Hey,
whole
like
interesting atmosphere.
that's a playoff atmosphere though. Like
Yeah,
as I'm
Exactly.
listening to you describe that, I'm like, honestly, good thing that it all went down last night and we got a rep of it because
yes,
that's the kind of referee mentality and lack of calls that you're going to see, and that's the kind of crowd environment that you're going to see in any playoff game.
totally.
And for a team that hasn't been there and we're expecting to have some level of postseason play this year, it's a good thing to get those kinds of games and get those reps so that we can have this to call back on come April. Say, hey, y'all remember Philly? That's how it's going to be in this play-in game or in this, 8-1. We have to go in there. The other team's favored. They're going to be hounding us. They're going to, the refs are going to favor the experienced superstars that are leading. It's what we're going to have to deal with. So the
Yeah,
more opportunity we get to go through stuff like this, the better for us in the long run. But I think we can all agree we hate watching it when it happens because it's like
right.
that's our Wimby. Like, don't hurt him. Don't let anything bad happen to him.
Right. And that was the last 2 points I was gonna make, which was, I was gonna say, hey, Santa didn't deliver, and we got the win against the Hawks and Portland, and we thought he didn't deliver against Philly, but I kind of like that loss, right? Like you said, for those reasons, it's a good one to sort of marinate on and to think about and to go back into the locker room and then just kind of take that with you. It's just growing pains, right? The last thing I wanted to touch on here was a couple of shots. Chris Paul had a really big, huge, timely shot to put us up by one. But right after that happened, Julian Champagny, he had 2 late game turnovers with one with a minute left in the game. Maxey stole the pass and dunked on him, got a foul and one. Maxey misses the free throw. We grabbed the rebound, and then I think Yabusele picks him from behind. So he had 2 turnovers in less than 30 seconds there. And then Dem Vassell, he had less than 3 minutes in the game. He had a bad shot selection. I think they kicked it to him. Ball wanted to, I think, going to Wemby. He almost turned it over. Dem Vassell did. He was just going a little too fast, and he shot a really weird, like hezzy pull from three, way off. And then kind of, I think Wemby took a equally tough shot. I think he was kind of fading away in the corner. And so you just had these things at the end. It's like, hey, slow down. That's an easily winnable game if you're more experienced. But that's how you get experience is to go through these losses. So that was the last thing I wanted to touch on there.
Yeah, that was probably the most frustrated I've been after a loss this year. I did not think it was a good loss. I appreciate that we came back in the fourth, made another comeback. It wasn't a huge comeback, but yeah, those last 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it kind of took me back to the last couple of years. Those were just terrible possessions. The Vassell shot that you said, I think he had Julian open in the corner for another little
Ooh,
swing pass. Didn't do it. Took a tough
ooh.
shot. Wemby's fadeaway corner three, just no, that didn't have a chance. And even Chris Paul's miracle bailout shot, like you have in the notes, that I wasn't even happy after that went in. I was
I
like, that
know.
was yes. And yeah, you mentioned before this is kind of a different point, but the entry passes to Wemby that got poked away last night, that's something that's been bothering me for multiple games now, where I feel like the entry passes to him are too lazy. Like a team like Philly last night is gonna try to, out physical him and poke those away. So, entry passes, yeah, you know, Reagan, I know you listen to Rosillo. He's made this point multiple times how guys in the NBA just don't know how to make entry passes anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what that's what I see with these entry passes to Wemby. They just need to
Yeah,
be
they're taking bad angles for those passes. They're
Yes.
not, because
Yes.
when you're talking like from and post guys know it because we know where we want to see it. And Alec, like I know that you were always coached on it, but if you're trying to make that entry pass from, equal with the paint and way up high, that
Top of
angle's
the
so
key.
tough. They need you to take another dribble or two down to get free throw line extended, so you can make that dude, fundamentals. It's crazy, but even at the NBA. Fundamentals are important. You give the high fake and go low with a bounce pass, or you fake it low and then go over the top. And with Wemby, just throw it up, dude. Throw it
Yeah.
12 feet in the air. Let him to where they can't go poke it out. And if they try to come through him to get that ball and it's 13 feet in the air where only Wemby can get it, it's going to be a foul call. So yeah, there's more coaching and consistent habits. We talked about it a week or two ago too. Like Harrison Barnes talking about the details, and it's getting those entry passes. It's catching the ball in the right spots. It's finding the right timing. And I said I was going to be interested over these next 3 games to see if it's something that we're talking about and fixing or something that we're just talking about and continuing to let happen. And a week later, we've talked about it and continued to let it happen. So there's more work to be done. Great point, Tim.
Yeah, great. That's a great point. That is what I saw. It was like throwing it from the top of the key. And again, you got somebody pressing on you, pushing you. That makes it hard to throw that pass to begin with.
It's tough.
So you have to get to the right like don't why even try to make that pass from that angle, top of the key? Like why try to look over and pass it over and then hope you get it high enough, especially when a guy's guard you 3/4 like that, like Yabusele, who's really
Yeah,
aggressive.
exactly. That's
You
what I
can
was gonna
easily
say.
pick that point. You
The
have to
the
either
three
clear out the guy in the corner and then push it through and then make that pass or whatever. But it's
You
all great
can't
points.
make the entry pass from the top of the key when the guy's being three-quartered and three-quartered Spurs bros. Remember, like the defender is going to be between the player and the basket, but he's got half an arm coming from, where the top of the key should be. So that's why if you can bring it over to the side and make the entry pass from a lower angle, that's where you've got to have it.
Right.
They're never going to try to come and poke it from the baseline side. And if they do more than times than not, it ends up being a foul. So it's these little details that Castle and Vassell and everybody's got it really has to get figured out. A lot of the NBA isn't playing inside out, but we've seen Wemby go to the paint later in the games, and when we're going to make those adjustments, those entry passes have to be spot on.
Yeah, Reagan, you just said it right there. It's kind of a point to today's game where a lot of these guards and young guys, quite frankly, have been having to make these entry passes their whole
Right.
careers until now. Yeah, so we see it. CP's pretty good at it. He's done his whole career. He's an old school guy though, so yeah, it's tough to see Trey and all these guys who you think Stephon who can just make an entry pass to 7'5" guy. But guess what? They haven't done it their whole life. They didn't do it in college. They don't really know how. So yeah, it's fundamentals, but they need to learn how too.
Yeah.
So it's
I
just a
mean,
point to today's game with everyone just launching threes the whole time. Not many teams play inside out. So yeah,
even
they got to
Castle
learn.
that had a 7'2" Klingon at UConn, he could, I didn't watch a ton of UConn games, but they could probably be a little bit lazy with those entry passes because you don't run into another 7'2" kid at the college level. So he was
Mhm.
probably able to just float in, top of the key entry passes to Klingon and let him go get it. But same idea, but now it's not a 6'8" dude guarding Wemby. It's another 7', 7'1" guy. You got to be more fundamental with it.
All really good points there. And that's why I kind of didn't mind that loss. I was heated in the moment just because of, how aggressive and how idiotic their fan base was being. But and how Embiid was, but geez, it's okay. I was fine with that loss, especially if we learn a lot from it. Well, enough actual basketball and the day to day. We can now talk a little bit about trade talks. You're starting to hear those heat up just a little bit. The most recent and prominent name that's kind of coming to light as far as a possible target for the Spurs is De'Aaron Fox. I haven't been seeing what people would want for him, like what a potential package would look like. So I just want to kind of throw it up. Have y'all seen it?
I
What do y'all
I
think
have
about it? Okay.
I
Yeah.
have
I wrote it
and
down. The
yeah yeah
Spurs Twitter, one of the things, Edward Carrillo in the Spurs Twitter community put out there in the trade machine that's something that would work, I guess, technically would work, but it would be Keldon, Julian, Trey Jones, plus our 2025 first round pick, the two picks that we have from Charlotte and Chicago, and then our 26 first round pick. So all in all, three players and potentially four first round picks if the Charlotte and Chicago ones convey. To me, I think that's way too steep uh, for me.
Too steep.
Four
That
first round picks plus three players. You good
well,
with it?
I guess my question, yes, my question is going to be then who? Because I mean, everything I've seen, at least Jeremy or Devin were included. So if in
Yeah.
that one, what you just said, if we can get rid of freaking Julian and say, I mean, it is what it is. But like, guy, it just depends. Do y'all want a star or not? You know, are we going to wait for
Yeah.
Wemby already is a star? Are we going to wait for Stephon to grow into a star? And like we've talked about the past couple pods, just get some role guys. But if we're going to want any in today's game, if we're going to want any De'Aaron Fox, you know, whoever, some big name, it's going to take that. So, I mean, what you just said right there, I personally would do in a heartbeat, guys. I mean, are we going to draft any guy who becomes as good as De'Aaron Fox? Most likely not. So, I mean, that's if we don't have to, if we could keep Jeremy and Devin, and obviously Steph and Wemby are no trades. But yeah, if we get rid of those other three guys plus the picks, I'm doing that in a heartbeat personally.
I'm looking up. I mean, yeah, you make a good point. I think I have a hard time sometimes with actually pulling the trigger on a multiplayer trade like this, but it's not the Spurs way. The last big name we got was LaMarcus, and that was in a free agency acquisition. And then obviously the DeRozan trade, Kawhi wanted out, and he was a cancer at that point for the Spurs. So it's different scenarios. I have a hard time with it. That's just a me thing. I'm looking at Fox's contract right now. He's got 2 years left. He's making 34.8 million this
Yeah,
year and
yeah, he's actually
37
on a
million
good.
next year.
Yeah, he's on a pretty good contract for the grand scheme of
Unrestricted
things.
free agent in 26-27 season. So I would hope that if we're going to make that trade, it's a situation where he agrees to, re-sign or we extend him in the offseason. Because if we're trading that much away and he walks after next season, then I don't want to give up all that for a year and a half of De'Aaron Fox. Tim, what do you think?
I think this trade scenario specifically, I think I agree with Stu. I don't think this would be giving up that much. The players, those are role players, Keldon, Julian, Trey Jones, even though I like all of them. Uh, our first round picks, obviously, we would be banking on us being pretty good or better right away.
Right.
The Charlotte and Chicago picks, I mean, the Charlotte pick's not even going to happen. It's going to turn into second round picks. The Chicago pick, I actually didn't realize this until like a couple weeks ago that if we don't get it this year, it turns into top 8 protected, so even less protection. So that Chicago pick probably will uh end up staying a first round pick. But yeah, that one's not bad. I would think Sacramento would want one of our Atlanta picks.
Yeah.
That's what I would. So,
That's what I was thinking.
that's fair to one of it. Well, maybe not this year's, but
And that's what
I would give away this year's.
Or the 28,
At
or
least
maybe the
right now.
26 or the 28 swap.
27. Yeah.
so let me ask y'all, so who are y'all's fully no go in any trade for any star around the league? You're not going to send them away, other than Wemby, and we'll all agree on Stephon.
Well, I mean, if it's for the right person, I'd basically do anybody. Here's what I was thinking, though. And this is the only thing that I thought about here. I talked about how much I love Trey Jones. And I think that whatever we could get for Trey Jones isn't as much as he's worth, if that makes sense, as part of the deal. Because I think he has more impact than what he, but on paper, if you're trying to do like numbers and comparisons and just the intangible impact that he has on the game, if you're trying to do like numbers and comparisons, I don't think that we'd get like a ton for him. That's the problem. So I think we might have to give,
Standalone trade, like a one for one. Yeah,
or,
yeah,
or we may have to give up an extra asset.
yeah.
It could be a player or pick for another team, if that makes sense. Even though I think that like that's a pretty decent looking deal.
But yeah, I do like this in the
You know what I'm
fact that if we give up Trey Jones, we have to get a point guard back. So
Right.
I do like that. Fox is a Texas guy. He grew up in Houston. I think I mean, I don't know. He's in the prime of his career. He's 27. I mean,
Someone said
it,
that.
it makes sense on a lot of things. And I think I saw this trade an hour before, like this proposal an hour before the pod. So for me, I like to take stuff in a little bit more. But let me marinate it on it for a little bit, and I'll probably get pretty comfortable with it. But yeah, I wouldn't hate putting Fox with Castle and Vassell, Sohan, Wemby. Like that's pretty damn good lineup, fellas.
And for what it's worth, I saw like a interview of him. He does seem like a Spur to have the mentality. He said maybe it was on the Draymond podcast or something, but he said like I'm gonna make an. I already have enough money in my life. I'm gonna make enough money in my life. I'm not worried about that. I want to be a winner. So my thing is here with the Kings. Do we have a future ever of being a serious contender or not? Like these OKC, possibly Houston, San Antonio in the future. So that's what he just wants to be a winner. He wants to win. He says first 8 years he's made all the money, but like they've never made a real run. So he just wants to be on a winning team and play in those big games. So he seems like a Spur to me. If he's talking
Yeah.
like that, where he doesn't care about money, he just wants to be a winner. So that's a good sign.
That is the right attitude. It's like, yeah, I don't need to go spend 30 million a year. I could, like of course it's enough money. You're gonna be getting paid more than enough. I love that attitude. You're right. And he's a decent 3-point shooter, is he?
I want to say last year, I don't know what his numbers are this year, but last year he was one of the most clutch players in the NBA, like most
Yes.
clutch time points last 2 minutes of the game. So yeah, he's got that going for him too.
And again, we say, oh, do we got to give up these 4 first-round picks? Do we have like 13 first-round picks over the next 7 years? We got those couple from the Timberwolves this last offseason. We're picking them up. I think we picked up a Mavs one a couple of years ago for like 29 first. We have like we have enough first, so that we're like this is what we're getting them all for to make a trade like this. We're not going to draft 13 guys in the first round over the next 6 years.
Overall this year, Fox is a 33.3% three-point shooter.
Okay.
But the NBA breaks this down by shot distance, and those threes that are coming basically right on the line, right? Or he's like most likely spot up and he's, on the line or a couple inches behind it. He's shooting 37.8%. It's when he backs up to that 25 to 29 foot range, it drops to 32% on 137 attempts. That's by far and away the most volume is from that distance. So when he's getting probably the better looks that are closer to the line, he's knocking them down at a 37+% clip this year. So that's pretty strong, man. I'll take that. Absolutely. With his speed, scoring ability overall, we saw him. We've played the Kings 3 or 4 times. He goes late in the game, he's just like, all right, I'm gonna be the fastest person on the court and go get, 4 pull-up jumpers and 3 layups in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And he just turns it on. Like, I would love to have that ability. Shoot, guys, I want De'Aaron Fox. We've officially reached the point where opposing players and teams' agents are going to start leveraging Wemby in trade discussions. And what that means is they're going to start saying, like, y'all need to pay my guy or he's going to leave because he would love to go to San Antonio and play with Wemby. So it's like either pay him or he's going to go to San Antonio type of thing. Just as leverage in trade discussions to get their guys paid and make their own agent commissions. So like y'all are saying, we're gonna be involved in all these rumors and discussions and whispers around the league, but I think we have to rely on the last 30 years of Spurs trends when it comes to free agency and trade acquisitions is we're probably not going to make a big splash very often. It's got to be the perfect price and the perfect scenario for it to really happen. So we got to practice some patience and some understanding with the history of our franchise. We're not going to go just willy-nilly go out and get a LaMelo Ball or a Trey Young or De'Aaron Fox just to do it, even if we're going to be in those rumors every week.
Well, we'll see. We'll find out. Things will start to have to heat up soon. If this could become a reality. So, last thing we can kind of get into, Reagan, you can jump on it. Is the DPOY odds?
Yeah,
Anything?
first time we've talked about it since the beginning of the season. I don't think anybody would be really surprised by this, but just wanted to go back and look. Victor is at minus 250 for DPOY, and we're what 29 games into the season now. So next closest is Jaren Jackson the third is plus 450, and then a really steep drop off. Evan Mobley's in third place at plus 1600. So That's all MGM odds. DraftKings is pretty similar. Victor's at minus 250, Jaren Jackson at plus 550, and then in third place, Mobley's at plus 1400 there. So, we're a third of the way through the year, and Victor looks like the runaway favorite for DPOY. Just really, really cool to see. And he's also within the top 10 of MVP voting. We're hoping that he's going to get an all-star nod. So awesome to see that kind of league-wide recognition for Vic in his second year.
Speaking of award odds, rookie of the year odds, Stefan's coming off the bench now, so we'll see what happens with his production. But right now he's pretty neck and neck with Missy, the big man for New Orleans.
Yeah.
That's something to watch. It's like plus 200, plus 220, super close.
That guy's good. I saw him in person in Dallas when I went to that game, and he's skilled. He's a good big man, big presence. He's got good hands, good finishing ability. So just kind of depends on what this rotation change right now means for Stephon and if he can keep up, impacting these games. I think, guys, it's going to come down to like national TV games in March and April, like with the big audience at the end of the year. Is Stephon going to show up in those games? And if he does, I think he can win the award. I think that's what it's going to come down to.
Well, shoot, guys, if nothing else, we can, I guess, bid farewell to our Spurs Bros Christmas audience and also kind of look ahead to the our Christmas Day game tomorrow against the Knicks. How are we feeling about it? Do you think we get a win?
I think we're going to be fired up after yesterday's game to come back out there. It's Christmas Day in the Garden. It's going to be special. It's going to be a feel in the air. Wemby last year, I saw on X earlier last year. I forgot about it too, but he got chanted by the whole crowd, overrated last year. Had an awful game in Madison Square Garden. So I'm pumped to see him come out. He's going to be aggressive. He's going against Cat, who in my opinion is kind of another kind of big klutzy guy, kind of like last night against Embiid. So I don't like that, but I also don't think Cat's nearly as much a threat as Embiid. So I'm excited to see it. Yeah, it's Christmas Day in the Garden. It's going to be special. We're all going to be tuned in. It's going to be dope. I think we get the win in a close game. That's my call. I don't think either team gets blown out. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to say we get the win, kind of learn from last night, and hopefully execute better down the stretch.
Yeah, I totally forgot until you just said it, Stu, about last year's game for Wemby at Madison Square Garden. That was an ugly one. So
ugly.
Yeah, good point. I think he's gonna be fired up, ready to go. Chris Paul talked about it. He's never played in the Garden on Christmas, so for somebody his age, he's just as excited as anyone else. I think it'll be a close game. Yeah, sure, why not?
Let's go.
This game, we pull out a close game.
I think it's going to be a really similar environment to what we saw last night in Philly. I think those fans are going to be riled up, right? They've got Cat, like y'all are talking about. They've got all these aspirations and stuff of being a legitimate contender. Again, they're third place in the East. They're 19-10, right on the Celtics and Cavs' heels. And just like everybody wants to go show up Wemby in Philly, it's going to be the same thing in New York. Cat's going to be trying to make his presence felt. I'm such a big Cat hater, bro. I want to destroy this man in the Garden. I hope Wemby goes for 40, 12, and 7 blocks and hits 7 3-pointers and shows who the face of the league is really about to be. So I think Cat absolutely crumbles in the spotlight tomorrow. I think he absolutely crumbles in the spotlight tomorrow. I'll say it again. Cat is going to crumble in the spotlight tomorrow. He might play well the first couple quarters, 3 quarters, but I think fourth quarter comes around. Victor's going to lock it in, and he's going to show him who's really boss. And we end up winning this game by 11, 12 points. Jalen Brunson is probably going to go off.
Oh, yeah.
But let him go off. I think Jeremy Sohan versus Josh Hart is going to be fun to watch. Harrison Barnes versus Mikal Bridges is going to be fun to watch. I think it's going to be a great game. But I think Cat crumbles and Wemby shows up late. Spurs win by 11 or 12.
Bang. And if y'all remember, well, Stu, the last time that we played them was in San Antonio, which was, I think, Jalen Brunson's career game. I don't know if I'm looking too far into this, if I'm overthinking this, but if you remember Wemby, he had his career game, his career high. We won in overtime. That's when he grabbed the ball and he threw it in the stands. And Jalen Brunson wanted his game ball because he scored his career high. And so I don't know if Jalen Brunson's going to take that into account there, but it was a devastating loss for them. Thank God. Last time I played him. So I'm sure it'll be a really competitive one. That said, I do believe that we'll win as well. I think we have four Spurs Bros, 4 for 4 Spurs Bros calling a win here. So hopefully we don't look stupid. Yep, let's see it. And then we're still on the road after that Friday, December 27th against the Nets, Brooklyn Nets, and then on the road again for Minnesota Timberwolves on December 29th, and then we're back at home on New Year's Eve against the Clippers. So we don't need to predict those, but we'll see how those go. It'll be tough. It's going to be kind of a tough stretch. I think hopefully we can scrape out a few. Hopefully go 3-1. That's what I would like to see before the end of the year. So we will see.
If we beat the Knicks tomorrow, I said 3-1, maybe 3-1. Maybe we fall at Minnesota, but we should beat Brooklyn and Clippers at home. Yeah, I think so.
Clippers at home is low key a big game. They're
Yeah,
right
they're
now they're a
tight with
game and a
us in the
half.
West.
Yeah, they're a game and a half in front of us in the West, and the Timberwolves are half a game behind us as of today, Christmas Eve. So those are both pretty big games as bunched up as the West is right now.
All righty. Well, we got a lot to look forward to. So again, Spurs Bros, we thank you so much for you listening. We don't know how much of you have made it this far, if you're listening back to this, but guys, thank you guys again so much for your love, your support. Merry Christmas to you and yours. And we'll look forward to talking to you before the new year.
From the Spurs Bros, go Spurs, go.
Later.